it's spooky season!
I love it when people dress up in costumes!
Hey there, nerds. Jimmy Palmquist here with Nerd Alert. Next to me is...
Sup, I'm James.
We are so stoked. As we film, it's September, but when this is released, it'll be October, and it's spooky season!
I love it when people dress up in costumes!
It is literally one of our favorite times of the year. So let's get us started on some of our favorite Halloween films or films that get us into the Halloween mood.
Now, before we start talking about any of this, we do want to state that Halloween is the obvious contender. So we want to put it out here now before we start going into our personal, top 3 lists.
And you're more than welcome if it's the John Carpenter version, if it's the Rob Zombie version, if it's the new version that wasn't very good, that's fine. You pick which one you want as long as it's not Season of the Witch Halloween. You can watch Season of the Witch, but it's not a Halloween movie. Anyway.
All right. So we'll go down the list of our top 3 Halloween movies to get us in the mood for spooky season. So Jimmy, would you give us your number 3 film?
I would say this is random order personally, and this is just one of my favorite classic horror films. It is by no means scary. The Monster Squad. It is just a fun flick with the classic Universal monsters. I don't know if this is everybody's experience, but back in the 80s, HBO would buy up movies that did not do very well at the box office, and then they would just show them almost on a loop. And this was one of them. So I saw this a lot, loved it as a kid, watched it with my kids now, and I was like, maybe this doesn't hold up. The special effects, the makeup, the costumes, they hold up so good. They are so amazing. Honestly, the only thing that doesn't hold up is some of the language, meaning they use a lot of derogatory things that you would say in the 80s that you would never say now. Other than that, to me, it holds up. It's a fun movie, and it kind of gets you into that spooky spirit that you can watch with everybody and not really have somebody be, oh, I can't stand the blood, the horror, whatever. It's just, no, everybody can handle that one.
Yeah.
What about you, James? What's your first?
All right. So I would also like to state this is in no particular order. I got to go with the classic, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's not really scary unless, well, I won't say that. But it's just a brilliant musical that's so pertinent to the modern era. It's no longer a movie now. It's just a cultural phenomenon that anybody can watch, anybody can have fun with. And I think it is the perfect Halloween movie because you get the classic 50s B-movie schlop, you get a brilliant glam rock musical, and you get Tim goddamn Curry. What more could you ask for out of a movie for Halloween? And it covers so many different aspects of Halloween without touching horror. And if you're ready to get down and do the time warp again, it's just a perfect movie to watch for Halloween. All right, Jimmy, what's your next film you want to bring up?
I would have to go with the aptly titled Trick or Treat. And I wish Brandon was here because he would yell at me. It's set in Ohio. This movie flew under the radar. I don't know how people didn't know this was coming out. I don't know. But it has definitely gotten a following now that it's on streaming services. It's just an underrated, great horror film. It's got the scare moments. It's a collection of a whole bunch of stories. Sam is the thread throughout it. Great horror character. It's just a lot of fun. There's always been rumors that there's going to be a sequel. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet. But if you have not seen Trick or Treat, check it out. It is a lot of fun, and it does give you that scary side of things, and it is focused on Halloween. What about you, sir? What's your next one?
All right, I'm going to go a little offbeat. I'm going to go with The Thing. Now, I love sci-fi. I love horror. So when you put the two together and then you make it a murder mystery, I'm hooked. I am instantly hooked. And The Thing is a perfect movie that you can watch with a group of people. And it's scary, but it's not as scary as your Texas Chainsaws or your Friday the 13th. You have a little bit of gore. You definitely have the intrigue and mystery and the jump scares. but its basis is a character study and analysis of what happens when you put a group of military men in a situation where they have no idea what the hell is going on. And I think it is the perfect lead up film to any of the other great sci-fi horror movies or the other like slasher or like monster movies, because its horror lies in the mystery of what the thing is. And it's such a good movie to just put on and watch.
Another John Carpenter classic.
Absolutely. All right. What have you got for your final like spooky season movie?
Well, you teased it. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The original by Tobe Hooper. It's the 50th anniversary, so that's a great time to check it out. By way of James, I am finding out a lot of kids of his generation have not seen these horror films. We just had a Friday the 13th. He introduced them to Friday the 13th. They've never seen the originals, so I can't fathom what they would think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. It is such an exploitation of violence and sex. It's the 1970s culture, the music. It is such an experimental film in that it is disorienting, creepy, the baffling. It's just amazingly how good it was. It really does not have good sequels. I was a fan of the remake and the prequels, which I think did give it some more gravitas as far as, and even the most recent one I thought was okay. But that first one, if you've never seen it, it is going to blow your mind. And if you are trepidatious about watching horror films, don't watch it. I'll be honest. It'll freak you the fuck out. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre is probably one of the scariest, brutal films I've ever seen.
Absolutely. As someone who can sit through almost the entirety of Friday the 13th and most of the Halloweens and be fine, Texas Chainsaw got me. And I'm very glad you said that, because that leaves space for me to actually bring this film in, because I didn't know if I was going to incorporate it or not. Hereditary. That is such a good horror film to me. And I think it is the perfect way to like jumpstart myself into the really scary crap. Because, oh my God, Hereditary has so many moments you just do not expect. And it hits you like a bus against a brick wall. God, I can't say because I don't want to spoil it, but it is such a brilliant film. And it knows how to master tension and horror in ways I have seen very few films do. And it is a great lead up. It's a great almost palate cleanser from the classic slashers and stuff like that. It's a really good way to get that like super horror in there, kind of like with Texas Chainsaw. It's gritty, it's dark, and it catches you off guard, and it is just such a brilliant movie.
I will agree with that. I've watched thousands of films in my lifetime, been to film school, breaking them down, and that's one of the rare ones that I've seen in modern times where it's like, I did not see that coming. And we didn't see it anywhere near opening date. It was years later. The fact that it wasn't, the spoilers weren't blown, and that the story still caught us by surprise. I was like, damn, I'd hit you in the feels, man.
Yeah, it is. If you do not know anything about the movie, you will have no idea what's going to happen next. And it is so good in that way. It's, again, one of the few horror films where the twist just completely catches you off guard.
So that's our 3 films each to get us into the mood of Halloween and the spooky season. Let us know what you guys like to watch or what gets you into the Halloween season. We will be following this up with some of our favorite lists like slasher, ghosts, possession, all sorts of things. So Halloween is around the corner. We cannot wait to celebrate. Nerd out.